To living in a maximalist world, we kind of also live in a quick fix world. A bit of a disclaimer, I apologize for any background sounds. You will have to bear with me. Thank you for coming back, for not forgetting about my channel. I took a little bit of a hiatus. So many things are going on in my life, hence a little bit of the different background. Nothing that we can't get through, of course, with God's grace and a little bit of patience and mental resilience that I often preach on this channel. Back to what I was saying, thank you so much for being here, especially if you have the notification bell turned on. And if you don't, turn that notification bell on, join the Femininity Revolution, because I have a vlog coming up where I know a lot of you enjoy vlogs. So I'm going to try to get that up next week or the week after that, but I can't guarantee that my video schedule is going to go back to normal because, like I mentioned, I am living a little bit of a chaotic life. So for those of you who are just here for the video and not the spiel of my entire life, let's get into it. But before we do, I want to encourage you to hit that red subscribe button, to hit the like button on any video that you like. Leave me a little comment down below because I love knowing who is watching the videos and I love engaging with all of you. And join our sisterhood, the Femininity Revolution, where we believe in pushing forward the cultural conversation to include a forgotten section of the population, which is us, that believe in femininity as well as traditional living in alignment with homemaking. Now, femininity has become a little bit of a buzzword and so many women are interested in it. It really speaks volumes on how femininity has been repressed in our modern society. However, many of you have expressed to me how you live unconventional lives. Perhaps you have a job that doesn't typically align with feminine girliness, or you live a fast-paced lifestyle, or you are a student in a non-traditionally feminine field. Whatever it may be, you might still desire femininity. And is there a place for you in the feminine conversation? Of course there is. I also forgot to add, perhaps you like certain activities that are more adventurous, like camping. How do you remain feminine? And in alignment with that, I kind of toyed with the concept of doing how to remain elegant in unconventional circumstances, so you can kind of pair those two together when I was thinking about the points I'm going to present to you today. So the first thing I want to do is bring you back to basics, where we need to talk about hygiene. Now, this, like I said, is a little bit basic because many of us were taught basic hygiene skills as we were growing up by our parents. But with this fast-paced lifestyle that we live in today, or perhaps you have a job where you wear more of like a masculine uniform, you might kind of neglect your hygiene just because you think that it isn't worth putting in the effort to feel more feminine because you are, for example, wearing a more masculine uniform. But I really want to encourage you to take into your own hands your feminine hygiene, not the other feminine hygiene. That's not what we're talking about, but of course that's important. But your hygiene in general, so your hair care, your skin care, your makeup, try to section off times every single day to focus on those things. And in the past, I have talked about sustainable beauty. I am a former Miss Canada, so I have lived on different ends of the spectrum. I also studied and I worked in more so like masculine jobs in my life. And now I am a homemaker, so I do have leeway with presenting myself archetypally more traditionally feminine or classically feminine every single day. But I can relate to you in being on the end where you feel as though you need to just completely reject beauty because you feel as though it doesn't align with your lifestyle at all. So if you watched my video about balance and how I came to a middle point between the glam and just rejecting beauty entirely, you know that I preach sustainability. Now, in today's society, we are a maximalist, trying to get your money to buy a lot of beauty treatments and go over the top type of culture. So in order to be sustainable, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are eco-friendly. That's not what I'm talking about when I refer to sustainability, but what I mean is rejecting that overconsumption and really paring down your beauty routine in order to incorporate things that you truly love that are going to help you feel more feminine. When we think of the feminine woman in our mind, we might picture somebody who has 20 different shades of lipstick. And if you are that girly woman out there who has 20 different shades of lipstick, that is totally okay because that aligns with your personality. But if you live an unconventional lifestyle where having that many lipsticks is not going to be conducive and is going to overwhelm you, I encourage you to truly find those lipsticks that speak to you. This is such a basic concept, but I thought about it before I filmed this video, since I was getting ready with a lipstick that I truly carried with myself through all the hard times and the best times of my life, which is the lip color that I'm wearing right now. If you're interested in it, I'm going to link it down below. It is a classic, and one of you commented on one of my previous videos that you have also been using it for years, since it is an older type of lipstick. The point is that when you look at this like maximalistic interpretation of femininity, you are more prone to getting overwhelmed by all of your choices, and you don't feel like you could measure up, that you're just not going to try at all, and you're not going to be able to incorporate those few things that are going to help you get over the activation energy into your feminine being, because they're going to help you focus on a level of hygiene that makes you feel more feminine. It's a little bit complicated, but I hope that you're following along so far. There are other things that you could incorporate in your everyday routine around the topic of hygiene. For example, it is more feminine to have a clean set of nails than it is to have a done set of nails that are all chipped. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about your beauty routine. It is better to have nice, clean skin than it is to have a face full of extravagant makeup, but you neglected that skincare part of your routine. If you have an on-the-go lifestyle, or you are an adventure seeker and you like camping, another thing that I found particularly helpful to me when I was working and I was studying was having a car caddy and organizing my purse. There is a YouTuber out there, I can't think about her name off the top of my head, but I will link her videos down below, who introduced me to the concept of having a car caddy. So that means that if you have an on-the-go lifestyle, or you just like bounce from one place to another, perhaps you have multiple jobs, or you have very busy kids, you are going to have those things in your car ready to freshen up, and they're going to help you feel better and therefore more feminine in the long term. And lastly, before we move on, I also want you to focus on sensuality when it comes to your hygiene. So what are the things that you can include in your routine that are going to give you the best bang for your buck? Maybe a nice perfume is really going to help you get into that feminine spirit in your everyday life. Maybe it's soft hair. Whatever it is for you, I want you to reflect on it and include those things in your sustainable feminine hygiene beauty routine. So speaking about the things to incorporate that are going to give you the most bang for your buck, I want you to focus on 3 things that you can do every single day apart from hygiene that are going to help you feel and perhaps look more feminine. I always like to provide very simplistic examples. So let's go back to when I was a teenager and I attended Catholic school. In the summer and the spring and the early fall, we were allowed to wear the skirts that looked very feminine, because we also went to a school that had a nice purple color and the uniform just looked so cute. But in the winter, they did not want us to wear nylons because there were problems with a few people wearing nylons. You understand what I'm saying? You have a lot of teenagers in one place. You know what I'm saying. So we had to wear the ugly unisex pants. If you wear a job where you have to wear unisex clothing, for example, it's hard to feel feminine, like I mentioned in my previous point. So of course you're going to focus on the hygiene aspect of femininity, but I also encourage you to see where you have a little bit of leeway with incorporating 3 feminine things into your attire, for example. So this could include wearing a nice hair accessory like a hairband, scrunchies, little clips. Those butterfly clips have been really trendy this year. You've seen me wear them in countless videos because I like to wear my hair back. That's just an example. Or your shoes. If you're able to wear different kinds of shoes, perhaps you can play it up by wearing a variety of flats. Another thing that I liked to do was to wear a different colored scarf often, because I didn't have much ability to change my actual uniform, but I could wear a scarf, a little scarf every single day over that uniform, and it would help me feel and look more feminine. Those are just simplistic examples. I also remember growing up my male woman, and you often think that a male woman cannot be feminine, but this male woman was incredibly feminine. She always had a new nail polish color on, and she would play up the socks that she was wearing. Those are just examples, and you might not be able to get to 3 things, but the reason why I suggest 3 things is because it's been psychologically proven that if you structure your day, if you structure your habits around 3 most important things, you will be more successful. So maybe it's going to be 2 for you. Whatever it is, this is just to spark your creativity. We have to talk about transitions. If you have been a long-time subscriber to my channel, I mentioned the importance of transition at the beginning in the first few videos I ever made. What I mean by transitions is if you have a job that is unconventionally feminine, for example, and you come home and you want to pour into your homemaking and your more traditional lifestyle, and you want to transition that feminine energy to create a loving atmosphere for your family or for yourself. You want to do something that's going to calm you down and help you be able to transition into that new role. For me and for many women, that was putting on an apron, and that's why I am a big fan of aprons, even though now it's a part of my full-time lifestyle as a housewife. I used to do that even before. I've always had many different aprons, so I encourage you to get into the practice. You might feel a little bit Susie Homemaker at the beginning, but join the apron club. You will not regret it. Or you could take a certain way home from work, or only listen to a certain type of music when you are in the car coming home, for example. Whatever it is for you, you need to put in that cue. It's a little bit like conditioning, whatever that psychological conditioning is, but it really works. You kind of have to deduce yourself to thinking you are like that, but it really works. And lastly, I have to reiterate, in the world full of femininity and being girly, there's so much amazing advice, and I am cheering on everybody who is talking about it. But remember that true femininity comes from the inside out. There's no point in only incorporating different elements of your outfit or your makeup if you are not focusing on the inside elements of femininity. I will discuss this more in an upcoming video, but this past year I have found myself gravitating towards mostly wearing dresses and skirts. But as I reflected on why I was wearing more dresses and skirts, I came to the conclusion that it wasn't because I was wearing more dresses and skirts that I became more feminine. It is because my feminine personality blossomed through focusing on those more deep qualities of femininity, where I ended up attracting like more stereotypically girly things and feminine things into my life through projecting that energy. Now, that doesn't mean that you are going to have that same trajectory. I am not saying that if you don't wear skirts and dresses, you have not done the inner work to be feminine. I am not saying that at all. What I am more so encouraging you to do is to start from the inside out, to truly develop your unique feminine personality. And to do that, I encourage you to go through my femininity playlist, because I always include more deeper topics concerning femininity. I have total videos dedicated to those more like tricky concepts such as vivaciousness, being softer, etc., etc. And also, if you are a Christian woman, I really encourage you to get plugged in to a biblical womanhood, because it's going to help you and be your biggest asset to actually accessing those deeper concepts of femininity. You know, in addition to living in a maximalist world, we kind of also live in a quick fix world. But you're not going to access deeper femininity, and you're not going to really express your femininity by just looking for quick fixes. Just because you put on a dress or a skirt doesn't mean that you're going to just transform like Cinderella into this ultra feminine woman. There's so much more that goes into the practice of femininity. I'm going to end the video here, but as always, if you have something to add to the conversation, please leave me a comment down below. I would love to know snippets of how you have done this in your life, or where you are at, or where you may be struggling. There are so many good conversations that happen in the comment section, and I'm truly grateful for all of you who engage in these conversations, because they do help women. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye, lovely feminine women.